just first of all, credit to Sacramento for an outstanding season. Mike Brown, Sabonis, Fox, in particular, just an outstanding season, an outstanding playoff run. This was really a series I think we all felt from the jump could go either way. And particularly on Fox, second most points ever in a playoff series debut. Only LeBron James has more points in a playoff series debut. But really this came down to Steph, and if you'll allow me a couple minutes here. I talk about the word sicko all the time, and I think if we did a sicko power rankings, I'd have a hard time not putting Steph as number one. He's an absolute sicko. And whether you view Steph Curry as a hero or a villain, it's undoubtedly clear that he is an entertainer first. And I think he's the greatest show in basketball. That's just me as a fan. I was thinking about this last night in that second half. You had this range of emotion from him. He's just always so in the moment. So he makes a free throw on an and one after missing two earlier, and he starts pumping his arms up sarcastically, right? Then they show him during a dead ball after he starts to get going, and he's smiling and laughing. And you're like, what is going on in this man's brain? And then a few minutes later, he turns to the crowd after a timeout and said, y'all ain't ready for this shit. Y'all ain't ready. And then a couple minutes after that, he lights the beam.
Yep.
This guy is a sicko. And I was thinking about this series in particular, where going down 2-0, coming back to take the series lead 3-2, putting everything into Friday night, then having to turn around and play an afternoon game Sunday. And a lot of what I heard was, oh, the Warriors are exhausted. They're exhausted. They're exhausted. And we talk all the time, Tommy, about defensive rating, offensive rating, effective field goal percentage, true shooting percentage, lineups, matchups, all this stuff. What you can't quantify is the heart of a champion. You can't quantify leadership or fearlessness. And Steph has that in spades. He's one of one.
It reminded me a lot of the game 4 in the finals last year. You're like, this guy's not losing.
I was thinking about last night, kind of brought me back to the Clippers days where, look, we beat them in 14. Mark Jackson was the coach. 15 on those next 3 years, 15, 16, 17. There were so many games. I think we won once against them in that 3-year run. There were so many games where I felt like, oh, we've got the upper hand here. We're going to win this game. And like the first half last night, Sacramento played great, but Steph kept him around. And then at some point in the second half, he just breaks your spirit.
Yeah.
He breaks your will. His will, again, an intangible. I can't quantify it. I just know what I felt as a player. His will is stronger than nearly any player that I ever played against. You could put Kobe up there, LeBron, whatever. He's an all-timer. And it's not just the shot making, but I do want to go through the shot making real quick because I was talking with our boy Ryan Cohen yesterday. Mike, he has every shot in his bag. Made 20 shots last night. First shot, 3 on a chase. That's a catch and go. Throw to Looney or Draymond. Go run and get it. 3 on a chase action. Finger roll off of a chase action on the right side. Then he makes a scoop off the glass, a deep catch and shoot 3, a lefty lay off the glass, a step back 3, a floater going right, one dribble left, 3-pointer off chase action, a step back 3 going left, a scoop from 12 feet and 1, a finger roll over Sabonis, a righty scoop lay, a stupid hezzy on Trey Lyles for layup. Then he has a crab dribble going left and pulls up and hits a jumper. Layup, turn in the corner on the left side off the DHO. Then he has the sweet dipsy-do down the middle where he reversed it on the other side. Makes that insane step back from the top of the key. Throws up a one-handed runner from 15 feet from the left elbow. The relocation off the inbounds play, 3 at the end of the shot clock. And then he dribbles through 4 people and gets a layup. It's just, he's coming at you.
It's sick. Sicko is the right word. When you consider Klay and Wiggins were off basically all day yesterday. Klay was 2 of 10 from 3. Wiggins was 1 of 5. They didn't get much from the bench. Again, they won by 20 in that environment in a Game 7. Obviously, this is the highest scoring Game 7 of all time. I hate to do the hyperbole thing every time somebody has a thing like this, but where does this rank in terms of his best performances ever?
I think the series itself is one of his best series. The Game 7 is one of his best games, but the series itself, again, the will, the determination, just not, it felt like so many times, oh, Sacramento has the edge here. Oh, Golden State's back is against the wall.
Yeah.
And Steph responds. Steph delivers. That's what's so remarkable about him. He delivers. He constantly delivers.
Also, there's a cool thing. I'm not going to compare Malik Monk to Dillon Brooks because they're completely different in every way. But Steph did say after the game, a couple of the guys said after the game that when Malik said after Game 6, like these guys felt tired. Yeah. There's something with these all-timers where it's like they get a little bit of that edge. And Steph's going to come out guns blazing regardless, but he gets a little bit of that edge. And he's like, I'm going to, like when you're talking about the showmanship, did you see the photo? The photo of the fan going like this with him, like he's putting on a show. He's dominating the game and he's putting on a show at the same time.
Well, I think to your point about the Malik Monk's comments, and we talked with Steph when he was on the pod back in November, and Iguodala has talked about this before as well. Him sort of looking on his phone for Twitter comments when he has a bad first half. The guy is the great players. They're inherently motivated, but they're always looking for something extra. The best way to describe Steph is just the idea or the concept of competitive stamina. No matter what the circumstances are, no matter what he's feeling, no matter what the odds are the other way, he musters up enough competitiveness to put his team in a position to win. And that's all you can ask of an athlete. And he has the competitive stamina as high as anyone I've ever seen.
Players at age 35 to score 200 points plus 35 or older to score 200 points plus in a playoff series, Steph Curry and Michael Jordan. I feel like this series coming up, there's going to be a lot of these between the two of them. Every time they do anything, we're going to get numbers like this. Can we talk about the other guy who had an all-timer yesterday?
Yeah, Kevon Looney, 21 rebounds, the third player ever with 10 offensive and 10 defensive rebounds in a Game 7. Patrick Ewing and Charles Barkley are the other two. Fifth player since the ABA-NBA merger to have 3 games with 20-plus rebounds in a single playoff series. The last guy to do that was Dwight Howard. A couple things from Game 7, and I want to point this out. Let's just give Kevon Looney his flowers. Underrated, key to their success, as important as any other facet of this squad. But we have said all season, and not just us, everyone has said all season, oh, but look at the Warriors 5-man lineup data. It's what has given us hope when it's Looney, Draymond, Wiggins, Thompson, Curry, and obviously we didn't see that for a long stretch of time to close the regular season out because Andrew Wiggins was away from the team and Steph was hurt twice this season. So we always kind of stopped talking about it. And then you go to a Game 7. That group played essentially half the game together, 23 minutes. They were plus 26. And then the other part about that game that was really interesting, that is a talking point about the Warriors, is they're a high turnover team. And the Warriors had 7 turnovers in a Game 7. And that's the first time all season they haven't had double-digit turnovers. Yeah. So as much as it was the shot making, think about that stretch in the third and fourth quarter where they pulled away. It was all offensive rebound. There were multiple possessions where they were getting 2, 3, sometimes 4 chances to score. And on top of that, they weren't turning the ball over. So yeah, it's Steph for sure. But it's also Kevon Looney getting offensive rebound. It's also Andrew Wiggins crashing the glass. It's also taking care of the basketball.
It was unbelievable to watch Looney in particular in the third. It reminded me in a weird way of Game 6 Klay. Just Klay going nuts where you're seeing one guy just sort of impact his will on a team like that. 13 offensive boards in the third quarter. I was going to ask about you being on the court when somebody is doing that to you, because it just felt like that ended the game. Like obviously Steph was going crazy, but it felt like that took the complete energy and life out of that team, out of that building by him just doing this, even though they weren't even scoring every time. And honestly, they were missing a lot of free throws. So they were kind of letting them hang around in the third quarter. I feel like, and we'll talk about this some of the other series, I feel like offensive rebounding has been one of the themes of the playoffs in general. But how hard is it as a player to like recover from that when somebody takes the gas out of the building like that? Just basically winning a one-on-one matchup like that.
Well, it's hard, and to compound it, there was the stretch where they weren't scoring, and they weren't. So you go from a 2-point lead to a 4-point game to an 8-point game, get it back down to 4 or 6, and all of a sudden it's 12, and you're not scoring. That's what, to me, it's like the combination of Steph and then the combination of the second chance points and the combination of not scoring on the other end. It'll do it to you. Hey guys, it's JJ. If you're a basketball diehard like me, then you know there's always something spicy to talk about when it comes to the NBA. That's why I'm excited to play this week's episode of The Old Man and the Three Things for You. Normally, this show's available exclusively on Amazon Music, but I wanted to give you a preview of what it's about so you can join us every week. In the show, Tommy and I covered the hottest topics in the league, but without the outlandish takes. We unpack top stats, trends, and preview big games. So if you don't do it now, I'll keep reminding you to follow us on the Amazon Music app, where you can listen to this and all our content ad-free.